What if your phone could take a beating, survive dunks, drops, and still deliver peak performance? In this episode, we're clashing rugged durability with sleek design. Is it time to toughen up your tech? Tune in to find out if a rugged phone is your next adventure companion.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Today we're diving into a topic that's near and dear to anyone who's ever cringed at the sight of their phone, taking a tumble rugged phones.
That's right. We're tackling those super tough gadgets head on today. Are they really as indestructible as they claim to be? Or are they all hype? We're going to break it all down for you.
And we're not just pulling this info out of thin air. Our deep dive today comes straight from ImpartPad.com and their recent article, Rugged Phones versus Traditional Smartphones, which stands the test of toughness.
Kitschy, right?
Definitely attention-grabbing, and that's what we're here to find out, which one really does stand the test of toughness.
So let's get right to it. When you picture a rugged phone, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
Durability, right? I mean, it's got to be built like a tank. Exactly. They're not messing around with flimsy cases and fragile screens. We're talking reinforced everything, scratch-resistant glass, and materials that can withstand basically anything you throw at them. Figuratively, of course.
And those aren't just marketing claims either. This article mentions a pretty eye-opening statistic. iPhone glass screens break 26 times more often in drop tests compared to leading rugged phones.
26 times? You sure that's not a typo? That's a huge E difference.
It's a real shocker, right? But it speaks to the rigorous testing these rugged phones go through. They have to meet these crazy standards, something called MIL-STD 810 certification tests.
Okay, MIL-STD 810. That sounds intense. What kind of tests are we talking about?
I'm talking industrial-grade shakers to simulate extreme vibrations, like from a bumpy car ride or even an earthquake. They submerge them in water to make sure they're truly waterproof, not just splash-resistant. And the temperature tests, they bake these phones in ovens and then freeze them to simulate extreme weather conditions.
Wow, they really put these phones through the ringer.
If a phone can survive all that, it can definitely handle everyday life, wouldn't you say?
No doubt. And speaking of surviving the elements, let's talk water resistance. I think most of us have had that heart-stopping moment when our precious phone takes a dive into the sink, or even worse, the toilet.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir here, and this is where those IP ratings come in.
Right, those two numbers you see listed on the specs, what do they actually mean?
So the first number refers to dust resistance, but let's be honest, the second one is what we really care about, water resistance.
Exactly. No one wants a dusty phone either, but water damage, that's a whole other level of panic.
You're telling me. So you'll often see IP68, which basically means your phone can take a dip in the pool and live to tell the tale.
Music to my ears. Though, knowing my luck, I'd probably drop it in the ocean.
Well, for those just-in-case moments, there's an even higher level of protection, IP69K. This one means your phone is protected against high-pressure water jets. We're talking industrial cleaning equipment here.
Okay, so IP69K is basically the Superman of water resistance. No puddle or downpour is going to take this phone down.
Precisely. And this is a big deal because, believe it or not, liquid damage is the #1 cause of smartphone insurance claims. Rugged phones practically eliminate that risk, which is a huge selling point for a lot of people.
I can definitely see why. So when it comes to durability, rugged phones definitely seem to live up to their name. But a phone could be indestructible and still let you down, right? What about the battery life?
The age-old struggle. What good is a phone that can survive anything if it's always running out of juice?
Tell me about it. My phone's basically attached to a charger at this point. So spill the tea. What's the deal with these rugged phone batteries?
Imagine having a phone that lasts as long as your old Nokia brick phone, but with all the bells and whistles of a modern smartphone. We're talking days, not hours, on a single charge.
Okay, now you've got my attention, but how is that even possible?
It's a combination of factors. First of all, they simply have bigger batteries. We're talking 5,000 to 10,000 milliha.
Okay, for those of us who aren't fluent in battery, what does that translate to in real-world terms?
Think of it this way. Most smartphones have batteries around 3,000 to 5,000 milliha, right? That's like a small fuel tank that gets you through the day, maybe. These rugged phones are rocking 10,000 milliha, sometimes even more. It's like having a fuel tank that can go for days without needing to refuel. Some can even last for over 2 weeks on battery saver mode.
2 weeks? Are you pulling my leg? That's insane.
It's true. And it's not just about the battery size. They also use more energy-efficient components. Everything inside is designed to sip power, not gulp it down like some of those power-hungry apps we're all guilty of using.
That's pretty amazing. Now, I know we're running a little short on time, but I can't let you go without talking about a feature that seems synonymous with rugged phones: solar charging. Is it really all it's cracked up to be?
Solar charging is like having a secret weapon in your back pocket. A few hours in the sun, and you've got enough juice to make calls, send texts, even use GPS. It's a game changer for anyone who spends time outdoors or in areas without reliable access to power.
Okay, you've definitely sold me on the battery life. Rugged phones are in a league of their own when it comes to staying powered up. But I gotta ask, they can't just be tanks with long-lasting batteries, right? There's gotta be more to it. What other tricks do these phones have up their sleeves?
Oh, you have no idea. These phones are jam-packed with special features that you won't find on your average smartphone. We're talking about features that could actually save your life in an emergency or make your life a whole lot easier on a daily basis.
Okay, now you've really piqued my curiosity. Let's dive into these features. What are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, let's talk about those situations where you need your phone to be heard loud and clear. Imagine you're on a busy construction site or trying to take a call on a windy day. Your average smartphone speaker just can't compete with all that background noise.
Ugh, it's the worst. Half the time I can't even hear the other person, let alone have them hear me.
It's frustrating, for sure. But rugged phones, they've got you covered. We're not talking about a slight volume boost here. These phones have super loud, clear speakers that are designed to cut through all that racket.
Okay, that alone is a game changer, especially for anyone who works outdoors or in loud environments. What else? What about those times when you're totally off the grid? I'm thinking camping trips, hiking adventures, getting away from it all.
Right, when your phone becomes your lifeline. Many rugged phones come equipped with emergency beacons. It's like having a personal safety net, no matter where you roam.
Oh, wow. So if something goes wrong and you're out of cell service range, the beacon can still send for help?
Yep. It transmits your location to emergency services, give you that extra peace of mind when you're venturing off the beaten path.
That is amazing. I can see why people who love the outdoors or travel to remote areas would love that feature. Okay, I'm ready for more. What other cool tech are these rugged phones packing?
And this is where it gets really interesting, thermal cameras.
Wait, hold on. Thermal cameras. Are we talking like predator vision here? In a phone.
You got it. It's like having a superpower in your pocket.
That is wild. I had no idea the tech had come so far. But seriously, what would you even use the thermal camera for?
More than you might think. It's awesome for nighttime vision, obviously,
Yeah.
but you can also use it to detect heat sources, which is helpful for things like finding leaks around the house or even making sure your campfire is completely out.
Okay, that's actually really cool. I'm picturing myself spotting all sorts of things with my thermal camera phone. But those are some pretty niche features, right? Not something everyone needs in their back pocket.
True. But that's kind of the point of rugged phones. They're not just trying to be everything to everyone. They're targeting those users who need a phone that can keep up with their demanding lifestyles.
Right, they're like the toolboxes of the phone world packed with specialized gadgets to tackle any situation. Speaking of which, some of these phones even have push-to-talk functionality built right in. It's like having a walkie-talkie that also happens to be a smartphone.
It's perfect for teams working in the field, like construction crews or event staff. Everyone can stay connected and communicate instantly without needing separate devices.
That's so convenient. Okay, I'm officially blown away. Rugged phones are sounding less like phones and more like high-tech survival gadgets.
You're not wrong. They're designed to be your trusty sidekick in any situation. But let's be real, no tech is perfect. Even with all these amazing features, rugged phones must have some downsides, right?
You're right. Every superhero has their kryptonite. So let's talk trade-offs. What are we giving up if we make the switch to a rugged phone?
One thing to consider is processing power. Rugged phones often prioritize battery life and durability over having the absolute latest, fastest processor on the market.
So they're built for endurance, not necessarily speed.
Exactly. If you're a die-hard gamer or constantly using power-hungry apps, a traditional smartphone with a top-of-the-line chip might be a better fit.
That makes sense. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job, right? What about those gorgeous, super high-resolution OLED screens you see on all the flagship phones these days? Do rugged phones even have those?
You're not as likely to find those on a rugged phone. They tend to stick with more practical, durable displays.
So maybe not the best for watching the latest streaming blockbuster in stunning HD.
You've got it. Although if you're out on an adventure, you're probably not watching movies on your phone anyway, right? You're too busy soaking up the great outdoors.
True. That. There's a certain irony to watching nature documentaries on a screen while surrounded by actual nature. Okay, so maybe rugged phones aren't winning any awards for their dazzling displays. What about design? Are they as sleek and stylish as those super thin smartphones we see everywhere?
Let's just say rugged phones aren't exactly known for their fashion sense. They're more about function over form. You won't find any fancy finishes or super slim designs in the rugged phone world.
So they're not going to be mistaken for a fashion accessory anytime soon, but hey, who needs to be trendy when you've got a phone that can survive an apocalypse?
Exactly. It all comes down to what you're looking for in a phone.
It's all about priorities. So for those of us who aren't scaling mountains or braving extreme weather conditions every day, are there any other reasons to consider a rugged phone? All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Rugged phones are sounding pretty awesome, but they're not for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to your needs and priorities.
Exactly. It's like choosing the right tool for the job. You wouldn't use a chainsaw to cut a birthday cake.
Okay, that's a terrifying but accurate analogy. So how can our listeners figure out if a rugged phone is right for them? Where do they even start?
Well, a good place to begin is to think about how you actually use your phone on a daily basis.
Right, like are you constantly taking pictures and videos? Or are you more of a call, text, and occasional social media scroller kind of person?
Exactly. And think about the environments you're usually in. Are you out in the elements a lot, working with your hands, maybe dropping your phone more often than you'd like to admit?
We've all been there. Butterfingers unite.
Well, for those folks, a rugged phone could be a lifesaver. You'll get all those essential phone features, plus the added durability and peace of mind knowing your phone can handle a little roughhousing.
Makes sense.
Ah.
But what about the tech-savvy folks out there, the ones who are always chasing the latest and greatest specs?
If you're someone who lives and breathes cutting-edge technology, a traditional smartphone might still be your best bet. Rugged phones are amazing, but they often prioritize practicality and durability over having the absolute newest processor or the highest resolution screen.
Right. It's all about trade-offs. Now, I know rugged phones can be a bit more expensive up front, but if they last longer and you're not constantly filing insurance claims for cracked screens, it might be worth the investment in the long run, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. A rugged phone is less likely to let you down when you need it most.
Now, for those who are ready to take the plunge into the rugged phone world, are there any brands you recommend checking out?
Instead of bombarding you with a bunch of names, we've put together a really helpful guide on our website. It breaks down some of the top brands and highlights their key features so you can easily compare and find one that piques your interest.
Perfect. So once our listeners have done their research and narrowed down their choices, what's the next step?
Get hands-on. Head to your local tech store and try out a few different models for yourself. There's no substitute for actually holding a phone, feeling the weight, testing out the buttons, and seeing how it fits in your hand.
It's like trying on a new pair of shoes. Right. Got to make sure they fit your lifestyle.
Exactly. And don't be shy. Put those rugged features to the test. How does the screen hold up to scratches? Are the buttons easy to press, even if you're wearing gloves? Does it feel comfortable to hold?
Those are all great points. I think we've armed our listeners with all the info they need to navigate the exciting world of rugged phones.
Oh.
Any final words of wisdom before we wrap things up?
Just remember, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to choosing a phone. It's all about finding the best fit for your individual needs and priorities. So do your research, explore your options, and don't be afraid to think outside the traditional smartphone box.
I love that. And who knows, you might just discover that a rugged phone is your perfect match. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the rugged world of, well, rugged phones. But the conversation doesn't end here. We want to hear from you. Head over to our website or find us on social media and let us know what you think about rugged phones. Are you team rugged or team traditional? Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.